Theme 10: Word formation, prefixes, suffixes, and compounds. Index: Introduction, relation with other themes, current legislation, word formation, general, lexical and grammatical competence, word classes, morphology, derivational and inflectional, affixation, general, prefixes, suffixes, compounds, other processes of word formation, abbreviations, conclusion applicable to language teaching, relevant bibliography. The theme I have chosen is number 10, which deals primarily with lexemes in English. In the first place, I will define language and talk about phenomena like neologisms and semantic transfer, before going on to talk about lexical and grammatical competence. I will deal with the structure of words and the main features of word formation, and then go on to mention things like loans and abbreviations. I will finish with a conclusion related to some thoughts on how best to approach the teaching and learning of all these aspects in our secondary school classes. This theme is directly related to others, which examine different aspects of lexemes, especially number 11, which deals with the word as a linguistic sign, mainly the concepts of synonymy, antonymy, and homonymy. The new improved Organic Law of Education, the LOMLOE, came into force in 2021 and has now been introduced in secondary education. The law deals comprehensively with the most suitable type of methodology to be implemented in our secondary school classes. The official curriculum of the Autonomous Community of Madrid contains detailed information about the introduction of grammatical and lexical points during the different stages of compulsory secondary education and bachillerato. All of this is established and supported by the Council of Europe in the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. I will begin my theme by defining what language is. It is not a static, closed entity, but, like any other system related to human society, the semantic system is continually being extended and realized with the introduction of new concepts. There are various ways in which words can be formed. In the first place, we have neologisms, which refer to the invention of new lexical items. Very often, a neologism condenses into a single word the same meaning that could be expressed otherwise by a whole sentence. For example, copywriter is the person who writes advertising or publicity material. At the same time, however, the new word carries an additional message, referring to a specific side of the concept. The special institutional category of a person and job relates to the word copywriter to the type of copy which is sent to the printer for dissemination through mass communication media, often with the purpose of selling a product. This phenomenon can also be found in words like Thatcherism. The phenomenon of semantic transfer occurs with metaphors, when the meaning of a lexical item, a piece or lump of mud, is replaced by another similar to it, a donut of mud, or with metonymy, when a whole expression is replaced by part of it. This can be seen in the example, "The whole town turned out to welcome them," meaning that all the people living in the town, or "The bomb changed their lives," meaning the invention or the explosion of the bomb. I will now talk briefly about lexical competence, which is the ability to recognize and use words in a language. This competence includes understanding the different relationships among families of words and the common collocations of words. On the other hand, grammatical competence is the ability to recognize and produce the distinctive grammatical structures of a language and to use them effectively in communication. Words have traditionally been grouped into two separate classes. These are usually referred to as lexical words, or open classes, and grammatical words, or closed classes. Lexical words are nouns like John, room, intelligence, or table, full verbs such as grow, eat, walk, or talk, adjectives like happy, beautiful, easy, or long, and adverbs such as now, completely, there, or really. Grammatical words, on the other hand, are prepositions like of, at, in, without, or in spite of, pronouns such as he, they, anybody, one, or which, determiners like the, or that, conjunctions such as and, when, or although, modal verbs like can, must, will, or could, and the primary auxiliary verbs be, have, or do. As far as the structure of words is concerned, morphemes are the smallest meaningful units. For example, the plural form of mouse is the regular mice, but it is obvious how to identify a normal plural morpheme in a word like cats. Another problem could be that morphemes sometimes have more than one phonetic form, as we can see in the pronunciation of the past tense morpheme ed, which could be t in jumped, d in loved, or id in wanted. These variant forms of a morpheme are known as allomorphs. Morphemes can be classified into free and bound forms. Free morphemes can occur as separate words, as in drink or cab, whereas bound morphemes like tick or inter cannot occur on their own. Two main fields are traditionally recognized within morphology. Inflectional morphology studies the way in which words vary or inflect in order to express grammatical contrasts in sentences, such as singular plural or present past. These grammatical contrasts are aspect, case, gender, mood, number, person, tense, and voice. By contrast, derivational morphology studies the principles governing the constructions of new words, without reference to the specific grammatical role a word might play in a sentence. There are various processes in English by which new words are created: affixation, compounding, blending, word coinage, clippings, and conversions. Abbreviations and acronyms are also commonly used in English. I will now examine each of these processes in more detail. Affixation occurs when prefixes or suffixes are added to words. With prefixes, the word class does not change, as in unhappy or disconnect, whilst there is generally a change with the addition of suffixes, as in useful or enjoyment. Prefixes are particles that can be added in initial position to full words. However, these particles are not words with an independent existence. They have a status which is semi-independent, shown by the fact that they do not fuse with their own base, as can be seen by comparing revealed, which contains a prefix, with repeat, which does not. As previously mentioned, prefixes do not generally alter the word class of the base, but they alter the meaning of the word. They can be of various kinds depending on the meaning they convey. Typical ones would be the negative prefixes like unwilling, prefixes of degrees or size like overeat, prefixes of time like preschool, and pejorative prefixes like misinform. While prefixes primarily affect a semantic modification of the base, suffixes have by contrast only a small semantic role, their primary function normally being to change the grammatical function of the base. Although suffixes are by no means uniquely associated with a particular word class, it is convenient to group them according to the word class that results when they are added to a base. Unlike prefixation, suffixation with originally foreign items is often accompanied by stress shifts, as in photograph, photography, photographic. In many cases, spelling is also affected. For example, invade becomes invasion or able changes to ability. New nouns can be created from existing ones, as in spoonful or mountaineer. Many suffixes combine with verb bases to produce concrete nouns, like driver or exploration. From words such as adjectives and nouns, we can find other word classes like happiness, childish, or mainly. Many adjectives originate in verbs, as we can see in words like drinkable and attractive. The addition of the suffix "ly" to adjectives generally produces adverbs like peacefully. Only a few verb-forming suffixes occur with any frequency in English, all of them concerned with forming transitive verbs of basically causative meaning, as in lengthen, simplify, or modernize. In compounding, separate words or elements are combined to produce a single form, as in sunburn, wallpaper, or washing machine. Compounds may be written in three different ways: as one word in railway or headache, with a hyphen in self-control or drinking water, and as two or more words, as in oil well or safety belt. There are no clear rules, however, that can tell us how the compound should be written. A compound noun normally has primary stress on the first element and secondary stress on the secondary element, as in blacking-bird. Compound adjectives, on the other hand, frequently have double stress or primary stress on the secondary element, as in easygoing or class-conscious. Blending is a similar process to compounding, but here the typical process is to take the beginning of one word and join it to the end of another one, as we can see in words like brunch, a combination of breakfast and lunch, or smog, which would come from smoke and fog. A recent blend has been Brexit, coming from British and exit. Word coinage implies the invention of a totally new term. Very often, these words originate in trade names, as can be seen in Hoover or nylon. Clippings occur when words of more than one syllable are reduced or clipped to monosyllabic forms. Examples are ad from advertisement, phone from telephone, or plane from aeroplane. Conversion is when there is a change in the normal function of a word. It can be seen in sentences like "this is a must" or she told me a lot of funnies. Other minor processes also exist. What are known as reduplicatives are basically compounds which have two or more constituents, these being either identical or only slightly different. We can see this process in words like crisscross or flip-flop. Apart from all these processes, there are many loanwords or borrowings which have come into English from other languages, especially Latin or French. Examples of borrowings could be words like piano from Italian, croissant from French, or siesta from Spanish. As far as the concept of abbreviations is concerned, this first needs to be further subdivided into the categories of acronyms and initials. The key difference between these is that acronyms form new words, while initials do not. Basically speaking, an acronym is a word formed from the initials of a name. Thus, we can find NATO instead of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, PIN for Personal Identification Number, and AIDS for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. A word like laser is short for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Initials, by contrast, are pronounced by their letters. Well-known examples here would be the BBC, the UK, and MTV. In order to make the difference between acronyms and initials clearer, I would point out that the acronym ETA would refer to the terrorist organization, whereas the initials ETA would mean estimated time of arrival. Many Latin abbreviations are used in English texts. Here, we could mention acronymic abbreviations like EG, for example. In today's world, the abbreviations has extended to everyday language through the SMS, an abbreviated term for short message service. Many youngsters write messages full of abbreviated forms, the basis of many of which is not usually in the way they are written, but rather in the way they are pronounced. For example, V4, letter B, number 4, is used for a preposition before, while M8, letter M, number 8, would signify a colloquial form of friend, that is to say mate. As a conclusion, I would say that it is important for students to be able to understand the different elements of word formation in English. Generally speaking, this should not prove too complicated, as most of these elements exist in their own language. The study of lexemes is a key part in our students' acquisition and learning process. We should encourage them not only to deduce meanings from the context, but also to analyze words from different points of view and thus build up an internal bank of vocabulary. The bibliography I have basically used for this theme has been A Comprehensive Grammar of the English Language by Quirk, Greenbaum, Swartbeck, and Leach, and Practical English Usage by Michael Swan. I hope you agree with me that my theme has covered all the necessary points and that it has demonstrated the importance of dealing with lexical concepts in our classes from a student-centered viewpoint, using up-to-date methodological principles, something which can only be of benefit to our students.